Did you know that yoga is not just about physical health but also about holistic well-being? Today on Beyond Her Story, we are excited to introduce Poornima Kandi, a dedicated writer and yoga practitioner whose life exemplifies the power of resilience and self-discovery. Poornima's journey into the depths of yoga began as a way to combat her personal health challenges. Guided by her guru, Sri Gowrishankar Hosakere, she embraced Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, which has profoundly transformed her approach to wellness and life. Beyond her yoga mat, Poornima is an accomplished author with her book Ishanu Tales. Her role as a journalist for Deccan Herald and her engaging presence as a newsreader for Doordarshan have honed her communication skills, enabling her to articulate complex ideas with clarity and compassion. Today's conversation with Poornima Kandi is all about Ashtanga Yoga. So let's start this conversation right away. Welcome, Poornima, to Beyond Her Story. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Sneha, for having me here.
I think we had a previous session for Women's Day, which was, very useful, and a lot of people wanted to know more about yoga.
Okay.
And we've also had this International Yoga Day last week, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of hype about yoga. And I think most of the people are doing it because it's a trend, it's a fad, and people want to lose weight. And those are the main things, main reasons why people go for yoga.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts about it?
To answer your question, Sneha, I would like to just go back into the history of yoga and just give you a brief history about what it is.
Okay.
And if you understand that, we'll know how yoga has evolved today. Now, if I have to say history, then I'll have to definitely mention Sage Patanjali.
Okay.
That's how it started. Sage Patanjali, thousands of years ago, he has put together a lot of these practices into a consolidated, I would say, a system, which comprises of 196 sutras. He calls it 196 Patanjali Sutras. Sutras, simply put, is aphorisms. They are in Sanskrit.
Okay.
Now, the system that has evolved, the way he put it across, that focuses on Ashtanga. Okay, he classified it as Ashtanga Yoga, which typically is like 8 limbs of yoga. Okay. Now, when you look at the word yoga, yoga in Sanskrit means yuj, which is to connect.
Yuj.
Yes. So, if you put it across, in a very simple term, yuj is to connect, and also it means yoke as in to tame.
Okay.
So, actually, it goes well with the present form of yoga because you're taming your mind. The mind is running like wild horses. So taming that horse by yoking it is what yoga is all about.
Poornima, you mentioned about Ashtanga Yoga.
Yes.
Which you said is 8 limbs.
Yes.
Maybe we can talk a bit more about it because, it comes from way back. It becomes easier to understand.
Yes. Yeah. Be it then or now, yoga has always, the 3 components of yoga have remained the same.
Okay.
Which is the focus is on the physical aspect.
Correct.
And then there is also breathing technique involved.
Okay.
Then there is also meditation, which is spiritual consciousness.
Okay.
So the 3 elements are still, present in the today's era as well.
Okay.
Now, if I have to look at, explain about Ashtanga Yoga, as the name says, Ashta Anga, the 8 limbs. Okay. So he calls it 8 limbs and not 8 steps.
Okay.
Because so when you say steps, generally you go 1 step at a time.
Correct.
And then you finish something and then go to the next level.
Correct.
So it isn't like that.
Okay.
So the reason why he calls it limbs is because they're all conducive and they work in tandem, all the 8 angas.
Okay.
So you can look at it like a tree with branches. Okay. The 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, then Dharana, Dhyana, and then Samadhi. Now, if you look at the Asana and Pranayama, they're very popular
Correct.
today
Yeah.
because that's the most practiced.
Yeah.
But there is a lot more that you need to understand. All the 8 limbs are what yoga is, a holistic approach.
Okay.
Now, if I have to tell you a little bit about what Yama is, Yama is basically how you behave in the society, to loosely put it.
Okay.
Like how you behave in your environment. So when we talk about Yama, 5 restraints are there.
Okay.
So there is ahimsa,
Okay.
satya, asteya, aparigraha, and brahmacharya.
Okay.
Okay. So when I say behaving in the society, which is following certain discipline. Okay. And when you go to the next one, that is niyama, this is more about your personal discipline. So that's where your self-discipline comes into picture.
Okay.
So even there are various things that you need to follow.
Okay.
So everything is described in detail before you go to the asana practice.
Okay.
So a yogi has to follow the essential components if you really want to attain spiritual consciousness. That is ultimately samadhi. Yeah. So these are the things that we should know before you're actually getting to what yoga is all about.
Okay. So let's say you spoke about Yama and Niyama, right?
Yes.
The first 2 months. And you spoke about ahimsa, satya. I mean, this
Yeah.
we have heard in, Puratana Kala or
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
previously, right? So what does ahimsa, what
Right.
does it mean following that in the modern world?
Yeah, I mean, of course, as the word says ahimsa, I know the first thing that comes to the mind is, cruelty, cruelty to animals, cruelty everywhere. And that is true, of course.
Yeah.
But it's much more beyond that. I mean, there are simple, subtle things that you need to take care of even in your day-to-day life. Without your knowledge, you may be creating ahimsa.
Okay.
For example, just telling you that if you go to a restaurant and it is all about how you treat others. Why I picked this restaurant is because there you're interacting with a certain group of people. I mean, say the waiters who wait at the table.
Yeah.
How you deal with them, how you talk to them. The more you're compassionate and more treat them well, that itself is ahimsa.
Okay.
So these also call for being non-violent.
Yeah.
So not necessarily that you're wearing a shield and killing people.
True. Yeah, that's why actually, I think that is one thing we all have to take care about, because we associate certain words with certain things.
Correct.
Like you said, himsa means pulling out a sword. And,
correct. Yeah.
But it is much more than that, like what you rightly said.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe Poornima, we can talk a bit more about Niyama, because Yama itself seems so interesting. So if you can tell us a bit more about it.
Okay. Niyama also has 5 components in it. One is Shaucha,
Okay.
then Santosha, then Swadheya, then Tapas, and then Ishvara Pranidhana. Okay, so
some words are very relatable, like at least we've heard,
right, yes.
And some of them are totally new.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe would it be possible to just quickly explain what each one is?
Yeah. So when you look at how we are looking at the 8 limbs, the first one Yama. Yeah. So we are looking at how we have to behave ourselves in a society and environment. Right. Now, what needs to be done personally, that is dealt in Niyama.
So it's within this.
Yes. Okay. So it's more like disciplining yourself. Okay. And why do you need all this? To achieve samadhi, which is the last, and it's a tough thing to do. Yeah. But so these are the steps. And when you're talking about Niyama, as I said, the first one, that is Shaucha. So Shaucha literally means cleanliness. Correct. Now, cleanliness is not just about washing your hands and keeping yourself, of course, that is what it is. It is also about maintaining your personal hygiene. When I say personal hygiene, it is also about how you are treating your body. Okay. So you should treat your body more seriously, in the sense, making it more, in a form which is accepted. Accepted to yourself as well as to others. So how you conduct yourself. It also means grooming, but what I mean is, in your personal journey, you should be happy in your body. So when I say you should be happy in your body, it also means your health, and also means what you're eating. Okay. So your diet, your health, all that matters. So that is Shaucha. Okay. Then the next is Santosha. So as the term says, happiness, but actually I would want to put it as being content. Okay. So when you say happiness, you're not always happy, right? Okay. And in Sanskrit, there's nothing like, when they say Santosha, it is not just happiness. You should be happy with what you have. Okay. So being content with what you have. Okay. So not being greedy. You're trying to make yourself much more, keeping your head on your shoulders and saying that, okay, this is what it is and I'll accept as is. Yeah. Okay. So that is Santosha. Then the third one is Tapas. Yeah. So Tapas again. So meditation. Tapas would be, loosely, yes, meditation. So it doesn't mean you sit in a find a corner and you put Padmasana and then I'm going to now meditate.
Yeah.
But now you do that and then you're cruel with everybody else. That is not tapas. If you ask me, living in the present day, so many influences around you, be it in your family or in your workplace
or
how
social
you,
media.
on social media, and you're traveling, be it metro, every day on the road, in the road rage. How do you, that is a tapas, how you actually have to deal with it.
Okay.
Being calm and not being influenced with anything, the rage or, so this is what tapas is all about. Okay. Then the fourth one is Swadhyaya. So Swadhyaya is actually about introspection. When I say introspection, it means that when you're talking or when you do any action, be it words, action, whatever it is, you need to introspect and be very careful as to what you're saying and what you're doing. So that is Swadhyaya. And finally, it's Ishvara Pranidhana, which is surrendering yourself to the divine. I mean, it can be taken in different ways. I mean, I wouldn't want to put a religious connotation there, but it also means that you are trying to surrender yourself to the nature. I mean, accepting as things are.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal.
Probably it's more like letting go of
Yes.
what is holding
Yes.
you. And
Yes.
just,
this is all you can do. You've done your best.
Yeah.
By following all this, of course.
Yeah.
And then you say, yeah, I surrender.
Okay. So I think it's very interesting. I mean, when you talk about it in so much depth, right?
Yes.
I think it covers the entire aspect of our life,
Correct.
right? Which
Yes.
I think people are not aware of.
True.
So I think when you talk about yoga, the thing that comes to our mind is asanas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a whole level
Correct.
of things where, like you said, it covers the 8 limbs,
Yes.
which I'm sure it covers everything.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So let's come to the main one then, asanas.
That is the third one.
Yeah.
And that's the most popular one now.
Which people know about.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Now, if you look at, the two things that I talk, Yama and Niyama, when you're actually practicing asana, you're being conscious of those two without being conscious. In the sense, a practitioner, let's say you enroll yourself in a yoga studio, the first thing the teacher says is, come regularly.
Correct.
And carry your mat.
Yeah.
So, which is like inculcating some discipline.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the studio or wherever you practice, maintain silence. So you're being very aware of your environment.
Yeah.
You're not going to hurt anyone. Each one's practice is happening and you're being very conscious about that and allowing everybody to grow or practice in their own ways and time, whatever that they are doing. So respecting that itself is Yama and Niyama. So that is taken care of. Now once you start, that is when you can actually start your asana practice.
Okay.
Now if you are a person who gets agitated, cannot sit or do something for more than few seconds, I think asana practice will be very difficult.
Okay.
In fact, when I say, starting asana, the most difficult thing to do in asana practice is to getting onto the mat.
Okay. The discipline.
The discipline.
Yeah.
Now, today you get up and say, okay, I have to get onto the mat. Half the challenge is done. Your practice will happen anyway.
Okay.
So, that is when you have discipline coming into the picture. Asana practice can be, you can pick any form of yoga. I mean, these days you have different forms, different variations.
True.
So, whatever suits you, pick that form. But ensure that you're doing it with, a lot of discipline, a lot of interest. Only then you will reap benefits. Now, there will be a lot of questions. I mean, these days, how yoga has been recommended strongly by everyone.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, it's good. People are switching to yoga. They consider it to be the fitness regime and helps a lot of things, be it physical or the mental health. But what I would like to say is, don't take it up just like, okay, I want to lose weight. And my doctor told me that, just do yoga, you will be fine. Yeah. That is fine. Yeah. So the doctor has recommended, it's great. But how you look at it like a disciplined regime, and then practice it to reap benefits.
Okay. So nowadays, like we discuss social media, so we have discussed this in many episodes with many women about how social media is a boon in some aspects and how it may not be so good because people are blindly following.
Right.
My question is, does it actually work like that? Because from what you have mentioned until now, it works like from the foundation, stepwise, maybe not stepwise, but like you said, everything has to be conducive. So what are your thoughts on this?
See, there are postures, there are asanas which will really help you overcome the health issues.
Okay.
But yoga, like any other, if you look at it like a fitness regime, like any other form, that it can't happen like, okay, I practice 5 asanas today, specific asanas for a particular ailment, and I'll get rid of it.
Okay.
That's not going to happen. You will reap benefits, no doubt. Now, just giving you an example, if somebody recommends 5 poses for overcoming PCOS, or for that matter, backache.
Correct.
But I keep saying this, the root cause of the problem may be something else.
Okay.
And you need to really address that.
Okay.
So initially, even if you started like, okay, I need some relief for this particular issue, that is fine. But don't leave it after a month. I mean, just don't treat it like a month-long, exercise option, and then it just
like
vanishes.
medicines, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
3 times
Those are
a day.
correct. Yeah. So they are symptomatic. I mean, it can't be symptomatic treatment. So you have to look at the root cause.
And does it make sense to jump onto some asana straight away because it helps me, or is it? At least what I understand from whatever years of exercise and yoga I have done, you need a warm up. Then you need to do whatever form of exercise and then do the stretching. Only then is it complete, right? So that is necessary, right?
Absolutely right. I mean, you definitely need some warm up. There should be, slow building up. You can't just get into something. Even for example, other forms of exercise, even if it's swimming or anything, you need to warm up. The body has to be warmed up to do something. So different styles have different kind of warm up. For example, what I practice in Ashtanga Vinyasa, we look at Surya Namaskaras itself as warm up. But Surya Namaskaras in itself is a complete regime. I mean, if you just want to practice Surya Namaskar, that itself takes care of a lot of things.
So you don't have to warm up for Surya Namaskar because it itself.
At least in my way of practice, I don't. Okay. I only switch to Surya Namaskar straight away and then do the other asanas.
Okay.
There are other styles where they do a lot of warm up and then go into a pose. Okay. That's also fine, as long as you're warmed up.
Yeah,
now, what it means to be warmed up is like the body is, you're cold. I mean, you will feel that, right? I mean, when you're not moving around, you feel there is a stiffness in the body. You're cold, the shoulders are cold. You can't, it's just like a machine.
Yeah.
If it's not oiled well, then it doesn't perform well. So that's exactly how it works.
Okay.
If you look at the next anga, that is pranayama. So again, I mean, why I went to that was, see, both are linked. Now, these days you hear a lot of people saying, and the doctor says, do pranayama, do asana, and do some meditation. So that's good. I mean, that's exactly what you should be doing. But for somebody to do pranayama, you should have had practiced well. I mean, it's very important that you're warmed up to do pranayama, because pranayama means you are sitting in a place and working on your breathing, right? If somebody cannot sit for more than a minute, then I wouldn't recommend pranayama. And focusing on breath is not easy. When I say breathing is not just about, how we breathe every day. You have to use your lungs to the maximum capacity. And that can happen only with years of practice. Now, I'm not discouraging anyone from not doing pranayama, but you'll have to follow. There are some prerequisites which you need to follow. And sometimes it can be detrimental if you don't follow. Yeah.
I think that is something which is very important. I think people should understand that, we need a level of awareness before we start anything. Be it anything in this world, just don't jump into it. So, and it makes sense when you're using breathing techniques and yoga to that level. I think it's very good to understand the prerequisites.
Right. Yeah. So even meditation, for that matter, the same thing holds good, because when they say dhyana, I mean, you need to sit in a place or for long hours. So that is not possible until you have conditioned your body to that form.
So Poornima, I think we have covered Yama, Niyama, Asana, and
pranayama. Yeah.
And there are 4 other levels.
Correct. Yeah.
Maybe we can briefly touch upon what each of these mean so that we get a complete picture.
Yes. So far what we've talked about is the physical practice. I mean, if you look at it, it's more like the practices that you need to do to go to the next level.
Yeah.
Now, pratyahara means you're withdrawing your senses. Now, what I mean by that is you have to have control on your senses, the 5 senses. So when I say that, it means now these days you're distracted. I mean, be it social media, you just sit in one place, you are distracted. So how do you control those senses? Now, with the asana practice and pranayama, certainly it will help.
Yeah.
So you're already in a mode where you're trying to control your senses.
Okay.
So you're not allowing anything to influence you. That is what pratyahara is.
Okay.
Now, if I have to give an example, see, you cannot forego of all the pleasures in life. I mean, we are in the society, we are in a family.
Correct.
You have to do what needs to be done.
Correct.
But how do you not allow something to influence you? So that is the biggest challenge. The simple thing like if you go to a movie, there is focus. I mean, you focus on the movie. Now, do you call that concentration? Not really. But it is actually concentrating, right? Now, how does pratyahara work? So you have watched the movie, but you're not getting influenced by it. So that is pratyahara. So that is, I mean, I'm just giving you that example.
Correct.
But you come out of the movie hall and you just leave it there.
Yeah.
So you don't allow it to influence your day-to-day life. So that is pratyahara. So this movie thing is easy to do.
Yeah.
But there are other things, like it could be in your workplace. Somebody, maybe your manager, your boss yells at you. How do you not allow it to affect your work or allow it personally? Those are all pratyahara. Withdrawal of senses and being very calm. It's as easy as said and done.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So,
But I think all these needs a lot of practice, like you right.
Yes,
said, right?
correct.
Attain a state where nothing
Right.
affects you.
Right.
Yeah, true.
And I'm sure you must have seen people who practice yoga for years. They would have cultivated at least all these, I mean, to a great extent.
Correct.
And that's how they are calm and not being influenced. As far as dharana is concerned, it is concentration. So once you have had tamed your senses, the next thing is concentration. So now, as I go back to the same example, the concentration there is not on the movie. I mean, you would have concentrated on the movie, but that is not called as dharana. So it's actually, what do you need to concentrate on? That is your inward journey. So it's each person's inward journey is theirs. So you need to figure out what you need to focus on. So that is when dharana comes into picture. Then there is dhyana. So once you have done all these, I mean, have been able to do, then dhyana happens easily. So meditation is something which is like you have had a control on your senses, on your breathing, and asana practices for you to make your body so fit that you can sit and the body is listening to you. Ultimately, the goal is every sense organ, every part of your body should listen to you, even the breathing. So all these three things are in control, then dhyana happens easily. And then the last stage is samadhi, which I think is very difficult, and I don't know, I mean, can't talk about it because it's a long way to go.
Yeah,
yes.
True. But I think this has been so enriching, Poornima, to be very frank. You know, we all talk about yoga as it has so much depth, and I think that maybe that depth is not understood by a lot of people. Like the different things that we spoke about, especially the Ashtanga part of it, which covers, and like you rightly said, if we are able to follow all these things, and then I think we'll be able to have such a beautiful life, right?
Yes, yeah.
Though, like you said, easier said than done.
Correct,
but I'm sure at least we can take a step towards these kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's truly been an amazing conversation, to be frank.
Yeah, I mean, I also like to, I mean, when I say yoga practice, a lot of people ask me, is yoga the answer? I mean, should I not do anything else? I never discourage people from not practicing others. So I would like to add one thing. Yes, yoga practice is very different and I personally endorse it and it has real benefits for me.
Yeah.
But if you are practicing something else, please ensure that you incorporate at least some things about yoga, like it could be pranayama and dhyana, because you're already working on your body. But you will have to also look at how you can tame your mind and be more calmer and peaceful.
I think like today people talk about holistic health and things like that, but I think it's very important to understand these aspects.
Correct.
Then it makes more sense, and you're like, after you've explained this, right, even whatever I have read through about different things, it makes so much sense now.
Correct. Yeah.
Though I roughly knew about the Ashtanga and all that, but I didn't know to this depth. And I think it is necessary. So, we can have this awareness about these things and take step towards, learning more. And
true. Yeah. I mean, I know the theory part may be very boring about yoga. I mean, trying to understand history. But when you get onto the mat, you're actually implementing all of these, all the 8 limbs already. Yeah. So it's just that there is a thought behind it. So if they understand that, things become easier.
Yeah, very well said. So, amazing conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Me, like always, I have so many takeaways even in this conversation. I'm very much interested in these things, already.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
I'd love to know more about this. And I think knowing about, especially I loved about the Yama Niyama part,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is very, very apt to be adapted in today's world.
Yes,
The
of course. Yes.
compassion,
Yes.
discipline,
Yes.
actually everything, not just Yama,
Yeah,
Niyama, all
yeah.
the 8 components. Okay, Samadhi
Keep it aside for the
some
time
other
being.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much. I think it's
Thank
been
you so
a
much,
very
Neha.
insightful
Yeah.
conversation.
I had a great pleasure talking about this today.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
yeah, thanks. And you have your Instagram handle, which we can share in the description. So in case people have any questions about yoga
Sure.
and would like to
Yeah.
discuss more with you, they can get in
Sure.
touch with you,
Yeah.
right? So we'll leave the link.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.